Hey, shalom everyone, Gabe here. I wanted to make a video for this week's lesson because I had a death in the family, my wife's side of the family, and so we're having to run down to South Florida and attend a funeral down there. So we're not going to have Hebrew class this week, unfortunately, but I wanted to make a video lesson, and we'll kind of call this lesson 7B, if you will. It's not going to be like a new lesson or anything like that. And reason being is because lesson number 8 is going to be the final lesson, and I want to make sure I give you guys completion certificates and send you off in style, and we're going to actually conduct another Hebrew Torah service like we did, and actually conduct it and have you guys come through and attempt to read some from the Torah scroll. So before I jump into what I was going to do here with the map, let me show you a couple websites that I find really handy and useful in my Hebrew study. One of which I found a really clean Hebrew text that you can find online. It's, I guess this would be pronounced mechon-mamre.org. And what you do is go here to this website. You click on Hebrew Bible. This takes you to a Hebrew English Bible. And this is a really nice text that I like. And you can see all the different books of the Torah, the prophets, and the writings. If you recall, the New Testament, the Brit Chadashah, is all written in Greek. So it's not going to be in this at all. And this is, as far as I know, just a Jewish website. It doesn't recognize the Brit Chadashah as anything authoritative or scriptural. So let's go to the book of Genesis, and I'm going to take you into translate. No, I don't want you to translate. Let's go to Genesis chapter 45, towards the end of Genesis. And I wanted to read a little bit, let you guys practice reading. Verse 1, then Joseph could not refrain himself before all that stood by him, and he cried, cause every man to go out from me. And there stood no man with him, while Joseph made himself known unto his brethren. And he wept aloud, and the Egyptians heard, and the house of Pharaoh heard. And Joseph said unto his brothers, I am Joseph. Does my father still live? And his brethren could not answer him, for they were frightened by his presence. And this is kind of where I want to pick up, verse 4. I want you guys to, in a minute here, I want you to pause the video, and I want you to try your best to get out a piece of paper and transliterate this verse right here, verse Dalet. There's not a whole lot of cantillation marks or anything like that. I don't think there's any cantillation or accent marks. One thing I do want you to be mindful of is that sometimes inside the gimel, there is a dagesh, there's a dot right there inside the gimel. Ignore that, okay? It doesn't change the pronunciation of the gimel whatsoever. Same thing with the tav. You see that dot there? It doesn't change the pronunciation of the tav whatsoever. All right? So, pause the video, and when you're done transliterating this verse, go ahead and hit play, and I will read through it with you. All right, well, welcome back. I hope you've taken a piece of paper and you've transliterated this entire verse, and you'll find that as you go, you'll see repeat words that will become almost like sight words to you. And that's how you began to read the English language as well, is that you begin to develop sight words where you can recognize things very quickly. And that's the same thing with any kind of language. When you're learning to read a language, is you develop sight words. So let's read through this together, and I want you to pay attention to your paper and see how you did, okay? So this first word, I'm going to pronounce it va-yo-mer, vayomer, vayomer. You see that yod has a dot in there, it doesn't affect anything whatsoever. It says vayomer, vayomer. And he spoke, and he said. This word right here, this is the root of this word, emer, or imor. This means to speak, okay, or to say. So vayomer, and then we have Yosef, Yosef, vayomer Yosef. And Yosef said, el, to. So vayomer Yosef, el, Echaiv, to his brothers. Okay? Vayomer Yosef el Echaiv. And Joseph said to his brothers, Geshu. And this word right here, Gash, this is the root, or this is actually, we're pronouncing it Gesh, but this is the root of that word Geshu, This means a place of closeness or nearness or intimacy. Okay, we'll see this again here in a second. So let's back up. We have Vayomer Yosef El Echaiv Geshu Na, please. So he's saying, and Joseph said to his brothers, come close, please come close. Eli, and he says, Vayigashu, and come close to me. See that word gash right there again. See, it matches this gash over here. You see that? So that's where we actually get the word Goshen, the place of closeness or the place of nearness. That's where Joseph actually gave his brothers land to live and his family to dwell in the land of Goshen, the place of closeness, the place of nearness. So he's saying, Vayomer Yosef el Achaiv, Geshu na Eli, Vayigashu. And he says, Joseph said to his brothers, come close, please. Come close to me. Here's this word again, Vayomer. This is probably one of the most commonly used words in the Torah, Vayomer. And like I said, it means, and he said. Okay, Vayomer. Ani, I am Yosef. See, there's Yosef again. That's a word that will become a sight word as you're reading through the book of Genesis in Hebrew, Yosef. So he says, I am Yosef. Achichem. That's a tough word to say. Achichem, your brother. And this is plural possessive, your brother. So he says, and Vayomer ani Yosef, Achichem. I am your brother. Asher, right here. Asher, mechar. Remember, when we see a shiva in the middle of a word like this, it's actually, we're not going to pronounce it. It's just a place to tell us to stop and to pause for a second. Mechartem. So he says, I am your brother. Ani Yosef, your brother, who was sold. Who you sold is what he's saying here. Ot into Mitzrayma, into Egypt. Okay, I'm going to back up and read it slowly, and see if you can try to follow along looking at the Hebrew text now. Okay. Vayomer Yosef El Echaiv Geshu na Eli Vayigashu Vayomer ani Yosef Achichem Asher mechartem oti Mitzrayma. And this word right here, machar, let's take that word and explain this word a little bit. Machar is the root of this. It means to sell. This is what I would do. I would go over to BibleHub.com and I would type in Genesis. What are we on? 45 verse 4. And I would go and type it in here like this, and I would find it in BibleHub.com, and I'd say, I want to know more about this word, mechartem, or mechar. And I would say, okay, you sold mechartem, there it is, and it actually tells us how to pronounce it, mechartem. Okay, so I would click on this little E here. Well, first you can click on the Strong's number, and you can see it means to sell. It's a primitive root. It means certainly sell, destruction, make, merchants, offer yourselves for sale. So you get the idea, right? Let's go back now, and let's click on the E. Mechartem. Where'd it go? Oh man, I'm not seeing it. There it is. Mechartem. So it's used 80 times. See that right there? It's used 80 times, and it tells me every time in the Hebrew text where it is used. And I can look at this at a glance and say, okay, yeah, it's used sell. He is to sell. He is selling. So yeah, he's pretty consistent. It means to sell. So that's something I commonly do if I can't understand a word, is I come over to Bible Hub and I type it in there and try to figure it out. Okay? Let's read through this again, but a little bit faster this time. Close some of these tabs out. All right. Vayomer Yosef el Achav. Geshu na Elai vayigashu. Vayomer ani Yosef achichem asher mechartem oti mitraima. So he says, and Joseph said unto his brothers, come near to me, I pray to you. And they came near. And he said, I am Joseph, your brother, who you sold into Egypt. All right? So I hope you did well in that, transliterating that. Again, you'll get faster the more you see some of these words and develop these sight words. You'll get so much faster at it. So I want you to pretend for a minute that I approached you at our Shabbat gathering and our service. And I approached you and I said, hey, would you be willing to read from the Torah next Shabbat? And that gives you 1 week to prepare. Here are the verses that I would like for you to read in Hebrew from the scroll, okay? And you say yes. The next thing I would do if I were you is I would take those verses that I gave you. I would go home and I would go to this website right here, bible.ort.org, okay? Right here. And I would look for the verse that you were given. All right? We want to go to English. We're going to go to Torah. All right? And here are the verses. And this is a really nice website. So let's say I gave you Genesis 1:1. And I say, hey, would you mind reading Genesis 1:1 this week for me? So it has all of the Torah portions here. See here. So I gave you, hey, would you mind reading Bereshit this week? So you could come to this website and you could look at it and you could begin to study it. And typically what I would say is I'd say, can you read the first 3 or 4 verses? So here's the first, this is the first reading. This is the first, what we call Aliyah. It's the first reading of the portion, of the Torah portion. Here it has it with vowel markings. Here it has it without vowel markings. Okay, here is the English translation. Here is the Hebrew transliteration. See that? So you can check yourself. All right. So we have Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. So Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. All right. So you can check yourself and see if you're pronouncing it correctly, and you can read this every day in the morning if you wanted to. You could print this out, and like read it every day before leading up to the Shabbat that I'm going to call on you to read from the Torah. And when we do acquire a Torah scroll that does not have vowels, this will come in handy right here, because then you can transfer from this, you practicing this, to this right here. And I'll tell you right now, like I study this every time I go to read from the Torah scroll. I read through this probably once or twice a day for a good 7 days or so. And so by the time I'm actually behind a Torah scroll, I have it about 50% memorized, to be honest with you. And it becomes very, very familiar for me. By the time I get up behind a Torah scroll, I can read it more fluently and kind of more fluidly as well. All right, so that's a really good website, bible.ort.org, okay? Let's see, what did I want to show you here? Oh, okay. I wanted to show you, they have departed. I don't know why I wanted to bring this up here. Maybe because I wanted to show you the Hebrew spelling of Dothan. This right here is a prefix, which means in, be, dotan, Dotan, that's Dothan. Okay, and here it is. There's a different dotaina. It's a different cognate of the noun Dothan. Okay. One of the fun things I want to show you in this lesson, and before we wrap things up here, with lesson 7b, this is a map of Florida, and so I'll be leaving Dothan, which is right here. Let me get rid of this thing. I don't know why this is up here. Okay, that's better. So here's Dothan right here. You see it in Hebrew, Dothan. All right, so I will be leaving Thursday or Friday morning and driving down and getting on I-10, and I'll be going past this city here. I keep zooming in, hoping it gets larger, but it's really small. Sorry about that. So it goes, you see the Tav, Lamed, Hey, silent Aleph, Samek, Yud. So it goes Tallahassee, Tallahassee, Tallahassee. You see that? Tallahassee. Let's see if we can find another one. I'll be going down here on I-10 and getting on I-75. I think it's just the bigger cities that they have in translated. So here's another big city. I'll be going past Gaines. You see that? Gimel, Yud, Yud, Nun, Samek, Gaines. And then it goes Veal. I don't know why they have two vobs in there, but it goes Gainesville. See that? Isn't that cool? And let's see. Here's another city that I'll be driving by. Oh, see that vav right there. Even though it doesn't have the dot or the dot above it, it's telling that aleph to say o. So it goes o, kala, o kala, o kala. All right, let's see if we can find another one. We'll be driving down I-75. And here is a city where Stacy and I used to live, and we lived for 14 years, in the city of Lakeland. See that in the different spelling? Oh, Lakeland. All right. Thank you, Google. Let's go over here. We have another city which we'll be driving through. We have Tampa. Okay. Tet, Aleph, Mem, Pei, Hey. Tampa. I'll be driving through Brandon. See that? Beit, Resh, Noon, Dalet, Vav, and final Noon. Brandon. Okay, this is really cool. All you do to find this is just type in Hebrew Google Maps, and you can go to like an area that you're really familiar with, and find the city. So here's where I'll be going right here to the city of Bradenton. Beit, Resh, Dalet, Noon, Tav, Vav, final Noon. So it goes Bradenton. It actually be pronounced like Bradenton. And then hopefully, if I find time, I will be going out to Anna Maria Island. Okay? Anna Maria. All right. Here's another city. We'll do this last one real quick. We have Samek, Nun, Tav, Sant. And then we have Pei, Tav, Resh, Samek, Beit, Vav, Resh, Gimel. So St. Petersburg. St. Petersburg. All right. Well, this is a fun application you can try. You can go to an area that you're really familiar with, and it looks like, depending on the size of the city, it increases the size of the font, so keep that in mind. So if we went to like New York City, there might be a bigger font. Here's a cool feature. See the Fe, Lamed, Vav, Resh, Yod, Dalet, Hey. This goes Florida. All right. Well, guys, I appreciate you watching this lesson. This is just a review lesson, like I said, for lesson 7. When we meet next time, we will have our final class, and I will be sending you guys off into the Hebrew world, and I'll be asking for some volunteers for Torah services. I mean, you guys will be ready. You'll be ready to read Torah scrolls. Here's what our itinerary looks like. On the 23rd, obviously, we are not going to have Hebrew class. I will not be there. On the 30th, we have Rabbi Eric coming to speak at DMF the morning of the 30th, and we may still have Hebrew class. I need to check with him and see. He may be running back to Pensacola, and he won't stay very long. So I think we're going to have Hebrew class on the 30th, and this may be our final Hebrew class right here, okay, on the 30th of March. All right, guys. Well, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in a couple weeks. Shalom.